So I had a moral dilemma not that long ago. Uh, there was an old man that lived in my apartment building. Seemed like the sweetest guy, probably in his 80s. He'd always come out, feed the wildlife. He'd throw seed out for the birds, fruit and bread. We got a bunch of animals that come around here, squirrels and rabbits, chipmunks. And he would talk to me once in a while as I was out walking the dogs, or if I was coming and going for whatever reason. And he told me one day that he was uh, planning on moving out and getting married to a lady. Um, and he said that she lives in Africa right now, and that she was kind of an heiress to a small fortune because her father was the owner of a Coca-Cola distribution center. And she couldn't have access to the funds in her trust until she got married. And once she got married, then she would have access to the money, and then he and her could go over, go wherever they wanted, do whatever they wanted. And, obviously that's a red flag for me. One, she's in Africa. That's far away. He's never met her. And because she couldn't have access to her funds, somehow she needed money from him to help get her by. So he had been sending her money for years, apparently. And then supposedly she was just supposed to show up one day. He had asked me actually to take him to the airport to pick them up so that he and her could go to his bank and he would give her access to his account. They would basically tie their accounts together, and then they were going to do whatever they wanted to do. Now, I know he's being catfished. He's an 80-something-year-old man. He looks every bit of 80 plus years old. But what do you do in that situation? Do you tell him that, hey, you're being scammed? You've been sending money to somebody who is taking advantage of you. State the obvious from an objective point of view. But then I, had the thought that, well, what if that's the only thing keeping this guy going? Right? This is what gives him the will to live, so to speak, and who am I to shit on somebody's, possible hopes and dreams? So I didn't say anything to him about it. I mean, the story he gave me about her was long and drawn out and totally fucking preposterous, but I let it go. I said, well, I wish you the best of luck. I obviously didn't take them to the airport. I had other things to do, and then that day came and went. She never showed up. He never said anything about it again. And then a few days later, we were standing outside, and he was telling me that there had been some kind of arrest made at the building right next to us. Cops showed up, tactical gear, went into the building, and he said that the cops were in there for a little bit, and then they walked out some N-word in handcuffs. Now, he didn't say N-word. He used the real word. out loud, hard R, just out in the yard in front of our building, like it was nothing. And I was like, oh, this sweet old man who I refrained from stomping on hopes and dreams is a racist. Because after he said that, he went on to say, I just don't trust them. I just don't trust those N-words. But at least, and so he said it again, and then he goes, but at least there aren't any spics around here. So we've got that. And I was like, yeah, I guess. Have a nice day. And I left it at that. And as I was going into the apartment, I was thinking, well, he, I guess, deserves whatever he gets. Because you can't, what do you do with a person like that? Do you argue with him? He's in his 80s. You're not going to change his mind. You're not going to suddenly cause him to have a crisis of conscience and think, oh, maybe I'm being a bigot for no reason. So I didn't engage with him. If it was anybody else, you know, obviously I would have the argument, because at this point in my life, I don't give a shit if it escalates or not. Some people, you know, if you're young enough that you're going to be around a while, you need to learn the lesson. You need to have the talk. But I almost wished I had stomped on his dreams. But, you know, in the end, God beat me to it, and she never showed up. He eventually moved out anyways to some other apartment. So I never talked to him again after that. But it's just, you think you really don't know anybody until you really know them. It just, I felt bad that he was being scammed, and then I felt bad because I didn't say anything to him. And then he revealed who he really was, and, you know, then I have mixed feelings about that. It's the weird shit like that, you know, that you deal with now and again, that just makes you really wonder, you know, what the fuck is wrong with the world? That kind of thing. It's like being racist. There's so many more reasons to hate somebody if you get to know them, right, and talk to them, than just basing it off the color of their skin or where they came from. Take the time to find a reason to hate them. Don't just do it because of a skin color or because somebody told you that they're all bad. I've had more white people wrong me than any other color a person in the world. That doesn't mean I hate white people. I don't trust them. I don't trust white people. I trust white people less than I do any other race, to be honest, because we can be pretty evil sons of bitches. That's just fact. But I just wanted to get that off my chest. Thought I'd throw this out there, test video and audio. I think I'm going to do this more often, kind of talk about shit that pisses me off or that perplexes me. Be kind of therapy for me. Maybe it'll be entertaining for you guys. Who knows? But my goal is to have like a little mini podcast at some point. Maybe I'll say shit that's worth listening to. I mean, what are you gonna watch? What are you gonna listen to? My 16-year-old hemorrhoids on MTV or whatever stupid fucking show's playing. I make jewelry out of shit, literal shit. I've got to be more entertaining than that, right? All right, later, guys.